Welcome everyone to our Facebook Live. I need you guys to drop emojis so I know you there. I prefer the fire emoji because my name is Janelle and I'm here to empower you to be a better you. Today's discussion is on boundaries. Boundaries is a demonstration of self-respect and respect of others. It's a structure, it's an expectation, it's a request, and it's a system you put in place. Today, I would like to discuss 4 relationship boundaries: intimate relationship boundaries, parent boundaries, co-worker boundaries, and friendship boundaries. This is going to be a good one. Really quick, FYI, people may not be happy with you when you're establishing new boundaries, especially those who you have allowed to get away with bad behavior. Chances are you may lose relationships, but be okay with it because your self-care is more important. Establishing boundaries does not mean you're making a demand. For example, you will not talk to me like that. You can't say that. That's making a demand. Establishing boundaries does not mean you're asking a question. For example, do you think you should be talking to me like that? That's not a boundary, guys. You can't determine how others speak to you. Can't. They can talk to you however they want, but you get to say whether or not it's acceptable. You get to determine how people treat you by what you allow. When people don't honor your boundaries, they are teaching you and telling you what they really think about you. There are 2 reasons why people don't honor our boundaries. The first one is you haven't defined your boundaries. You need to feel how you need to be and what you want from others to experience, honor, and respect. The second one is you have to announce the boundary, meaning we tend to expect people to figure out our boundaries. You can't do that. People cannot figure out how you feel. Process your boundaries. Inform others of your boundaries. Inform them when they violate your boundary. For example, I hear what you're saying. I wanted to let you know that it is no longer okay for you to call me out my name. Everybody know I'm big with that one. Identify parameters of the boundary. How you need the boundary to operate. For example, you probably didn't mean to disrespect me, but I can't allow people to call me out my name. Instruct or educate how the boundary works for you. Examples. So here's my request. I ask that you refrain from calling me anything but my name. It's up to you to inform the consequence for the violation of the boundary. When you have clear boundaries, you must also have clear consequences for the violation. A boundary without a consequence is an empty threat, meaning it could care less. Be clear about what will happen when the boundary is violated. If you insist on calling me anything other than my name, I will remove myself from the conversation. And when you're ready to honor my boundary, we can talk. We sure can. And don't be nasty about it when you're announcing your consequences. Stay calm. Art of surprise, guys. So let's go over some common boundaries that people cross. Here go my examples, guys. The first one is intimate relationship boundaries. When you're in a relationship and you and your partner get upset and you call him a motherfucker and he calls you a bitch, you know you don't like the way those insulting words made you feel. The conversation that you should be having is, I would like you to refrain from calling me names when we have a disagreement. I would like you to refrain from calling me names. And if you can't, I will remove myself from the disagreement slash conversation. I will not return until you're ready to honor my boundary. We got to set stages, ladies and gentlemen. Parent boundary. Of course, I have a 14-year-old son, and he feels that he should be my friend. He tells me that his friends' parents tell them, I'm your friend and I'm your mommy. As you all know, Janelle is extra. I said to my son, well, you should call your friend, ask his mother, can you guys all move in? And then you guys all can be friends with one another. Y'all know Ruben was looking at me like I was crazy. But the boundary is, I'm your mother, you're my son. You can feel free to tell me anything. I don't have to be your friend to communicate. I will only allow you and I to have a mother-child relationship. If you don't like the parent-child relationship, you can move out. Yes, my son can move out because the consequence would have to be that, because at that point, we won't have respect for each other. I'm not looking for friends, and that's what it is. I put him in this world to be his mother. The third boundary is coworker boundaries. I worked at this job with this clinical director, my boss, who will host team meetings. When the team meetings, we would discuss issues regarding clients. She would communicate gestures of shutting up, basically doing the hand movement, doing all this. I did go to the program director and inform him that she is rude and disrespectful. You guys know me. He in turn said she and I need to meet because she should not be disrespectful to anyone. Before the meeting, of course, he had to calm me down and remind me of my profession and wanted me to think that, because of where I'm from, be calm. So she walked in the door. I said, hello, Dr. So-and-so, can't release names. My director said, Janelle informed me that you tell the team to shut up. She looked a little puzzled and said, not that she can recall, really. My blood was boiling at this point because she lied. He asked, can I tell them what I saw or was told that she can't, because she can't recollect. I said, I spoke about a client. And she told me basically to shut up. I really didn't know what I was saying. Of course, I knew what I was saying. So I told her, I said, I don't appreciate it, basically. She said, okay. I then said, we are adults and that she can no longer cross that boundary with me. I informed her of my consequences. I told her if she does it again, I'm going to remind her of the boundary and maybe have to tell her to shut up. Wow, did her eyes open. She said she was sorry and it won't happen again. So those coworker boundaries, there has to be lines set. My fourth example is friendship boundaries. I had this friend many moons ago, guys, and I discussed certain things with this particular friend over another friend. She decided to go and tell my friend some of my business. So I said to her, why would you do that? I don't appreciate it. And can you please never cross that boundary again? Me and her continue with our friendship. And then she said, of course she did it again. She crossed the boundary. And that's why I said a friend I had many, many moons ago. Just to touch on boundaries before we end our live, I would like to do a short recap and just let you guys know, when you draw a line and someone crosses it, show them that the consequence is in place and immediately activate it. Don't wait until next week to discuss what was crossed. Be willing to forgive when a boundary isn't intentionally crossed or unknowingly crossed. If a person didn't know your boundary exists, how can they honor it? How can they think about it and honor it? When you have clear boundaries, it means you have honor and respect of your integrity. You also must be willing to surrender the relationship from repeated violators. Cut them off, let them go, because they're not respecting your boundary. Having boundaries is learning to say no. It's been too long with us being people pleasers, willing to put ourselves at disadvantages in order to accommodate everyone. Boundaries are beneficial. Your well being. Selfishness is necessary when creating boundaries. Stop diminishing yourself in order to please others. Have people honor your boundaries. Stand for what you know, guys. Reward people who support you by honoring your boundaries. Let them know you appreciate them. Thank you for honoring my boundaries. Here go our aha moment. When you find yourself in the same difficult situation over and over, consider this: the trouble will stay with you or keep returning to you until it teaches you what you need to learn. That's by Iyanla Vanzant. You have to set boundaries. We all say we know our self-worth, we have self-love, but you have to set boundaries. And because you don't, people get to violate you over and over and over again. I come to you guys every week just to say, to teach you guys self-love, to teach you guys self-care. I'm going to do this until we all get it together. And you know what? I need you guys to continue the conversation. If you need to share my video, because certain people don't know about boundaries and they need someone more down to earth like I am to just speak about it. You're not going to violate my boundaries, and the consequences will be real. And they will be as real as ending relationships, because we cannot argue with our mates. We cannot feel that it's okay for them to yell at us, curse at us, demean us, because they don't know where they're going in life. But we need to remind them, hello, can we end this conversation? And sometimes in heated conversations, you may need to end the conversation. Or when you're with coworkers and they think things is a joke, and you're like, excuse me, that hurt my feelings. Please don't say that. And if they continue to do that, you got to make your circle smaller, guys. We all have this big circle where we have our family, where we have our children, but we got to make our circle smaller, because if people don't respect us, then we don't need to be around them. I don't understand what's up with everybody. I'm nowhere near a people pleaser. I say what I need to say. I'm a very upfront person. Sometimes it gets me in trouble, but you have to take control of you, because if you don't, who's going to do it? Who's going to understand where you're coming from? So with that said, as always, thank you for your continued support. Please don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. The link is located at the bottom. Have a blessed night and continue the conversation. I will continue answering questions on boundaries. Good night.